Hello and welcome to Coach Mel's Crochet Corner. I'm Coach Mel and today I'm going to be bringing you through making this nice colorful poncho. So this is the start of it using this wonderful Bernat premium yarn. I really enjoy this yarn. It works up very quickly, easy sliding on and off of the hook. So what you'll need for this, you'll see that I have a medium weight 4 yarn. I have an J hook, and this is 142 grams. You're gonna need between 300 and 350 grams of yarn. So I would get 3 skeins if you're using something like this. Now, the yarn that you saw at the beginning of the video, the poncho is made with this here, which is the Vanna style yarn. Okay, and this is a 3-weight yarn. I used 4 different colors. I used the tan, I used the teal, the silver, and the denim. I got 1 skein of each because each skein is 100 grams. So I do have some extra, as you can see here with the tan. But this, if you're using a 3-weight yarn, you're going to use the I hook instead. On my website, Coach Mel's Crochet Corner, I do have the instructions to make both a lighter weight using the 3, or like we're going to do today, which is using the 4-weight yarn. So we need to start off with our chain. So we're gonna start with that slip loop. So coming through the fingers, up in between, pull the 2 ends and make that loop. Once you have your loop, we're gonna get that hook into there, secure that down, and now we're gonna chain 80. So your chain is a yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. And we're gonna continue to do that until we count up to 80. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're gonna continue to 80 and I'll meet you when we get there. Okay, I've just completed my chain of 80. So now it's really important when we go to connect this to make a loop that we keep that chain from getting twisted. So I like to run my finger down the loop, making sure that I have my chain all facing up in the right direction. Okay, and just quickly you can tell that I'm on the top of the chain here because you're seeing the V of the stitch. If you twist it over, you'll see this lump, that's the back of the chain. Okay, so from right here, I'm gonna come into the top of that beginning, not into the knot, which is here, but right into that first loop that I made for the chain. I'm going to yarn over and I'm gonna slip stitch. I'm gonna pull through both of the loops. Now I've created a loop. The important thing to do at this point of your project is to make sure that this is big enough to fit over your head, because this is the start of it. This is the part that you're going to put over your head, and our poncho is going to extend out from here. So take a moment, pause the video, and make sure that it's comfortable going over your head. As I said before, depending on the weight of yarn that you use, you're gonna use a different starting chain. This one was 80 because I'm using a 4-weight yarn. The other one, using a 3-weight yarn, you would chain 88 to make it a little bit bigger at that start. Now, if that is not big enough to fit over your head, what's really important is that you increase your chain, but your chain is increased in increments of 8. You'll see why when we start our clusters, we need even clusters on either side. So if this was not big enough at this 4-weight yarn with my J hook, then I would go up to 88 would be the next size that I could do. If that was still not big enough, then I would need to go up another 8 stitches on my chain. Okay, we're going to begin that foundation row. So I'm actually working on the back part of my chain, and you can tell because it has this bump right here in the middle of the chain. I'm going to start with a chain 2. That here is going to count as a half double crochet. We're now going to do a half double crochet around this entire loop. So a half double crochet, we're starting in this next stitch here, so not where the chain is, but this next one. You're going to yarn over. You're going to bring yourself into the chain, pull up a loop, so pull that through. Right there you now have the 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 of those, and that's created a half double crochet. Let's do that a couple more times together. So a yarn over, into the chain, pull through, you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through all 3 loops on that hook. Again, yarn over, into the chain, pull through, that's pulling up your loop, so you now have 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. You're going to continue that in each chain around this entire loop that you've created. I'll meet you over at the other side so we can show you how to attach this together. Okay, as you come to the end of the chain, or where you began, it's really important that you make sure that you get those last couple of chains and that your tail is heading down before we connect this loop. So I do still have another one right here. Okay, and then I am not going to go into this very last one here because you'd see I'd be going into that same place where that chain started. Okay, it's definitely worth taking a look at this for a couple of things, making sure that it has not twisted at all. So you could see that it's nice and flat here, so it has not twisted, so that's good. Okay, and then you may want to quickly count your half double crochets here. Again, if you're working in the 4, you're going to count your chain as 1, and then each half double crochet, count them all the way around. You should have 80 total. If you're working with the lighter weight yarn, a 3, or if your original chain was longer, you want to make sure that including this beginning chain, your half double crochets equal the same number as that chain that you started with. So why don't you pause the video and take a moment to count your half double crochets before we connect this. Okay, so I just did my count. Make sure again that you're not twisted. I had my tail up above here. All right, and it ends up that I was at 79, so I do need to do one more right here. So I'm glad I did that count. Okay, now that we're back to the beginning, we're going to slip stitch into this chain 2, which is where we started. So we want to make sure that when we do this slip stitch, we're getting into this so that we have at least 2 loops that we're going behind, pull through and pull through. That is now completed this, which is the top neck area that your head is going to slip through. So again, it might be worthwhile now that those half double crochets are in there to go ahead and slip this over your head and make sure that it still fits okay. From here, we're going to start our first row of clusters. In order to do this first row, we're going to start at the corner and we're going to start with a chain 2. That is going to count as 1 double crochet in this row and every row going forward. We're always going to start in the same place. From here, we're gonna do 2 double crochets. So your double crochet is gonna go in that same hole. We're gonna yarn over, go into that same place where that chain started, pull through, that's pulling up your loop, 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook. Come through 2, yarn over, come through the last 2, you're back to that single hook loop on your hook. We're gonna do that one more time, yarn over, in through and pull up your loop. You have your 3 on your hook, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2. So we've just done a cluster of 1, 2, 3 double crochets. We now need to chain 2. 1, 2. And now we're gonna put 3 more double crochets right into that same hole that we just did that first cluster. So come in, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over, in that same hole, pull up your loop, yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, come through 2. One more time, yarn over, in that same space, pull up your loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and then we're going to chain 1. Okay, so this is what that corner looks like. Okay, you have your cluster, your opening here, and then another cluster. We're now going to continue to do clusters all the way down this side, and we're going to do that by skipping 3 stitches. So skip 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put 3 double crochets in that next stitch. Yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2, through 2, yarn over, through 2, through 2, and always end your cluster with a chain 1. So now you'll see 1, 2, 3 double crochets all in the same stitch, and then I ended it with a chain 1. We're going to continue that again until we have 9 of these clusters. Now, starting with the 80 chain, you're going to have 9 clusters on each side, not including your 2 clusters of your corner. Don't count those. So 9 clusters down this side. Once we finish the 9th cluster, we're going to need to do another corner. So let's continue down this same side. So we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to do our cluster of 3 double crochets in that next stitch. Yarn over, pull up your loop, through 2, through 2. Yarn over, pull up your loop, through 2, through 2, chain 1. Always remember that chain 1 at the end. We're going to skip 3 again. Make sure you don't count the one where that cluster is. So 1, 2, 3. In this purple stitch right here, I'm going to do my next cluster. Yarn over, come through with that loop, through 2, through 2. Yarn over, in that same hole, through 2, through 2, and one more time, through 2, through 2, and remember to end with that chain 1. So go ahead and pause the video if you'd like, and you're going to continue down this until you have 9 clusters coming down this side. Okay, you should have 9 clusters now. So again, we're not going to count this corner, but from there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So now it's time for us to make the next corner, because the poncho is going to have 2 corners, one in the front and one in the back. So we're going to start this like we would a normal cluster. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put our 3 double crochet cluster in that next stitch. So go ahead and make that cluster just the same as you did all of the others. So 3 double crochets, chain 1. So that's the start. Now to finish this corner, we're going to chain 1 more. And now we're going to do 3 more double crochets into that same spot that we just did that cluster. So 1, 2, 3, and again, ending with a chain 1. Always ending a cluster with a chain 1, even on the corners. So you'll see that that made a nice corner down at the end. So now we're going to continue down this other side of the neckline, and we're going to do the same thing, which are those clusters. So I just finished with a chain 1. So I'm going to skip the next 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and a chain 1. Going to continue that all the way down this side, and once again I'll have 9 clusters down that side. So you can go ahead and pause the video, and I'll meet you down at the end. Okay, so if you look down this side now, you should count, and you should have 9 clusters, not including the corner. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now what we need to do is we need to connect this to that corner where we first started all of this. So it's a little bit hard to see in the dark purple, but if you see there's 1, 2, 3 stitches right here from that beginning cluster. We're going to go into this very first one underneath that V of that stitch. We're going to pull through that stitch and pull through the loop that was on our hook that's now connected us. Okay. From here, we're going to do some slip stitches because we want to start our next row from the center of this corner. So in order to do that, you're going to put the hook through that stitch that you just slip stitched to, and you're going to do another slip stitch right there. You're now going to come over to this second stitch right here, come through, pull through that loop for 2. You're going to do 1 more in this stitch down here. It's a little bit tighter. Come into that stitch, pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook. And then we're going to do 1 more that's going to go right into this big chain 2 space that we have from that first corner. So go into the space, pull the yarn through, and then pull through that loop on your hook. So now you can see we're brought right over to the center of this corner from that first row. We're now going to start the second row. The nice thing about this is you don't have to worry about counting your clusters anymore, because we're going to start with the corner, and then we're going to just place a cluster into each of the spaces going around. So starting right here with our chain 2, which is going to count as 1 double crochet, we're now going to put 2 more double crochets in that space. 1, 2. From there, we're now going to chain 2, 1, 2, and 3 more double crochets are going to go into that same space. There's 1, that's 2, and there's 3, and we end always with that chain 1 before we go to our next cluster. So you can see here that we now have the corner clusters one on top of the other. Now we're going to continue by going to that chain 1 space from the previous row with our standard 3 double crochet cluster. So we're going to yarn over, go into that space, pull up your loop and go through 2, yarn over, pull up your loop, through 2, yarn over, pull up your loop, through 2, and of course always ending with that chain 1. So I'm going to continue to do that all the way down this side until we get down to this corner. So go ahead and put in the rest of your clusters, and I'll meet you down at the end. Okay, you can see that I've just finished the second row down this side. Okay, so I've come down now to our corner. So what we have to do here is the same thing that we did the last time. You're gonna have 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So we've already done our 3 double and a chain 1, so we're gonna go right into that chain 2 space with 1 double, 2 doubles, and 3. From there, we're gonna chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're gonna put 3 more double crochets into that same chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Now we're gonna make our way down the other side of this, so we're gonna do the same as we did before, and we're gonna put those clusters into each of these chain 1 spaces. So 3 double crochets, 3, and chain 1. So go ahead and continue down until you get down to this other corner where we started, and I'll show you what we're gonna do down there. Okay, we've now gotten back to where we started with that corner. So what we're gonna do is just like we did in the last row, we're gonna connect to the top of this chain. You could see it a little bit better with the lighter color. We have 1, 2, 3 V's there, okay? We're gonna go into this top one right here, put your hook through, pull your yarn through, then through the loop on your hook, and we're back to connecting that together. Once again, we're gonna slip stitch across until we get to this chain 2 space. So let me do that with you one more time. We're gonna go back into that space that we just slip stitched in and pull through. Go into the next stitch, pull through both. We're gonna go into one more right here, a little tighter to get through, pull through, and then we're gonna do our last one right here in the center of that chain 2 space, and that gets us ready to start our next row. So you're just using those to bring yourself across so that you get to that middle and can start at the corner again. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You're just gonna keep going and going and going. Each row, it will be adding it and it'll be getting longer and wider. And if you would like written instructions for this, you can find those on my website, which is CoachMelsCrochetCorner.com. And I hope if you have any questions, you'll drop a comment or contact me through my webpage. Thank you so much for joining me for this. I hope you enjoy, and there will be more to come soon. Happy crocheting.